like to know why you out here and not outside in the lovely sunshine. And you're all asking yourselves exactly the same question. How many of you are wearing the wrong clothes? As in, I packed a week ago to come here. The weather forecast said cold and miserable rain. I arrived to absolute incredible sunshine. I look at my bag and, well, basically some washing was done. So anyway, Anna Maria and myself are here to do this. Turning photos into language games, and with games we learn. Do you like games, children? Yes. Would you like to sit down? No, you can't, because there's no chair. But you have got a beautiful dress. Okay, what are we going to do today? We're going to do... This is really scary. Does that do anything? Yes. Do you use photos in class? A yes or no will suffice. Just checking. The answer is yes or not yet. Good. How do you use them?
To introduce vocabulary.
Thank you. Everyone was going, don't look at me, don't look at me. Thank you. Introducing vocabulary. This is the classic, what's this? And the kids all go. And? Okay. Well, the lady in red is really good. The rest of you are. So you just use photographs to go, what's the sun, what's the beach?
No, creating stories as well.
Thank you.
Translating, like, well, what was 5 minutes ago, what will be later, like different tenses as well.
Wow. She's amazing. Wow. Take note of that one for next year's talk. Yeah. So, I mean, generally use them in different ways, and that's why we're here today. And why do you use them is a very important question.
To give us more interesting topics.
Yeah. To involve. That is because these are like supersonically heavy. So, for students. Right. Why we use them is basically science speaking. Children are, like most human beings, visual. Remember that 80% of human beings are visual. So obviously a photograph, what is this, is going to help them in terms of memory, going to help them in terms of presenting new vocabulary, practicing grammar. It's also much easier to present a photograph of an elephant rather than bring one into the classroom. Although I do know someone who did bring a pet tarantula into the class. Yes, I'm glad all of you did that. You know, it's one of those moments where you go, oh really? Lovely. Another one brought a nun to class. Because we were going to talk about nuns. So instead of bringing a photograph, he actually brought one in. So that was another interesting thing. But where do you find your photographs? Yeah. Okay, hands up who's a kleptomaniac. Don't lie, I know you all are. We are kleptomaniacs, we are thieves, we are extremely good at, okay, come on, be honest. I know you do it. How many of you have or had little children? Okay, little children are the best. Okay, they're wonderful. You know when you go, you said magazines, you go to the doctors, you go to the dentist, they have this lovely pile of magazines which you can't afford. So you go there and you find a photograph. Okay? Now that's really obvious. So what I actually do is I take my little kid with me. It's like, we're going to the doctors, I'm not sick, I know. So we go. And I just casually say, could you do Mummy a favour? You see, kids are very like that. The thing is, this is what we do. We have great difficulty in finding photographs. Yes, you can go online. Yes, you can download them. Yes, the problem is then to print them. So unless you've got a supersonic printer, digital, whatchamacallit, We do the classic, going to the doctors, going to the dentist, visiting friends. Do come for dinner tomorrow night, bring a magazine. I don't laugh, I know you do. Come on, come on. Now, whys. Talked about it, vocabulary revision, vocabulary presentation, encouraging paraphrasing. I don't know what that's called, it's a thing for. I was going to do that. Exam practice. Does anyone do the preliminary exam or the first certificate now for the first, Tracey? Okay. What can you see this later? Compare and contrast, dictation, grammar practice. This is what we do from one simple picking. So, let's have a look at some different ways. Now, voicing opinions. Children, make me notes so I can remember. How does this make you feel? Okay, I will never say to a student, no, that was really good, I won. You're just an attention seeker, aren't you? Okay, now children, a very technical question. Where was this photograph taken? Thank you. I mean, a little bit of, science here. It's got to be in the south. Those who teach little children, how many of you have been destroyed by a series of films called Madagascar? My children are convinced that penguins are found not in the south because it's cold. They are found on Pacific Islands because penguins apparently like to sunbathe. I didn't know that. Oh, do they? And they eat sushi. Things have changed. Mind that. Right, the penguins, here's a very simple picture. Yes, we can use this for how does it make you feel? Lonely, solitude. We can also talk about the poor little creature is on a big piece or a little piece of ice.
Little.
Thank you for that. You're also the And you do not tell me that in Poland, big and little have different sizes.
Grace, come on.
I'm learning. Because we all know that actually it's a big piece of ice, because remember, 90% is underwater. Remember that. Titanic forgot. We can talk about that. So, we can talk about global warming. Now, what is nice about these photo cards is that if you look at the back of the card, this is what's on the back. So what you've got is, are you well informed about climate change and the planet? That's a question to ask your students. I simply ask them, how do you feel? Because I'm simple. What are the causes and consequences of climate change? Would you like to answer that question? All right, I'll teach you a little trick that I teach my students. What are the causes and consequences of climate change? Various. The first one, are you well informed about climate change and the planet? Not really. And how can individuals help to prevent the greenhouse effect? By doing nothing. There are questions that can come to you because it will depend on the level of your students. But what I also like is that you've got the picture here. Because I don't know about you, have you ever held up two cards and said to them, which one do you prefer? And then think, oh God, I can't remember. You have to go. Which is like grabbing your story cards, but it's kind of frustrating when the kids are going, that one, and you don't know. So you've got that. You've got the main topics, so pollution, you've got the CFC, you've got the ozone. These are things you can talk about. For your own interest, I come from a country called New Zealand. Do you know New Zealand? Have you been there?
No.
Thank you! Thank you. Not yet is the answer I like. We have penguins in New Zealand. We have penguin crossings in New Zealand. You have zebra crossings in Poland. I even tried the other day to wait for one and nothing happened. Penguin crossings we have in New Zealand, and penguins do cross on them. I would never lie to you. We also have penguins, which I love, that come to school every so often. And I'm serious, obviously in the south, so the kids have got great excuses for being late to school. Penguins. So there you go. Another picture. Now, does this look like your classes?
Not yet.
Oh, it always works. Nice. Nice. What's different?
And what about the picture? I would like to see the
They're taking a photograph. With one hand. Yes, I find photographs like this amazing. However, they do exist, classes where students smile. I was going to say, please tell me yours do. Your students, yay, classes in, finished, yay. But there you go, school in the past and today. How has the education system changed? What changes do you feel are positive and what are negative? So these are questions, yes, to us teachers, not just your students, but basically you'll see the same thing. Questions, very general questions. The topics that you can pick up, I love this one. Equipment and teaching tools available at school. What equipment is available in your school? And mine looks pretty similar to that, I have to say, actually. No, we do have technology in Italy. We do actually have interactive whiteboards. Some are still in plastic and have been there for 3 years because no one actually knows how to plug them in. Which I think is interesting. Some of them are actually so high up the ground that teaching in little children, you have to put a bench underneath so the kids can climb up to write on them, poor little creatures. But there you go, school dropouts. Do you have lots of school dropouts in Poland? Yes, I mean not some, yes. I mean I hope not all, but you have some, yes. You're depressing otherwise. But there, taking the same photograph, I can put two together. Compare and contrast these photographs, stating which is more similar to the way you dressed at school and which you prefer. This is a question straight out of a first exam. Come on children, which do you prefer? No, I told you in the abstract you would have to talk. Look at your very beautiful partner for today. That's the one sitting next to you, right? I keep saying to my kids, this is a partner for a few minutes, not for life, okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to compare and contrast these photographs. Go on, ask your partner what she thinks. He thinks. Good. I'm impressed. So, left or right? I love that. We guess which one we like.
It depends.
Absolutely. Your kids wear uniforms?
Yes.
No. Some of them.
No, I know some schools they do.
Yes.
But those of you who have schools, I should say schools where no uniform is given, do the kids still kind of wear a uniform? Jeans, t-shirt, trousers?
Yeah.
Right, because in Italy, no one wears a uniform, but I absolutely adore saying to the kids, which one do you prefer? Oh, the one on the right, on the left, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, okay, what are you wearing?
Jeans, t-shirt, trousers. And you? Jeans,
Occasionally, you get the odd student that's wearing trousers. But there you go. But if we take it a bit more seriously, school uniforms, what do you think about school uniforms? This is always something which is very simple. Uniforms, distinguishing, obviously the uniforms distinguish which school you go to. In New Zealand, I had the most wonderful school colours, black and white. Lucky, eh? With a tan hat. And we had a tan skirt, but the alternative was black trousers. And I played the cello, so guess which one I chose. But there you go. Rules for clothing and makeup. That's something else you can start talking to your students about. Are your kids allowed to dye their hair? No. So do they anyway? Yes. Dictation. Do you do dictations in class?
Yeah.
I love teachers.
Yeah.
Thank you. It depends. I was waiting for Anne-Maria to say that one. I can take exactly the same photograph and turn it into a verbal dictation. This is what I do. I teach the body parts. I teach the necessary verbs. For example, what would be a necessary verb? I can't have my children stripping off in class. So what I'm going to do is to get them to physically be like these students, not clothing. Stand would be a verb they would need. Smile. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hand, or place is a verb I will need to teach them. And students instruct the others until they look exactly or nearly exactly like the picture. Okay, would you like to have a try? Yes, can't wait. Now, I do this with primary school children, teenagers, adults. I do them with absolutely everything. The thing to watch out for are the body parts. What body parts would I need? Hands. Yeah. Arms. Yeah.
Elbows.
Knees. I'll tell you why. Exactly. The things that you need, legs and arms, language you teach them anyway. That's not a problem. I'll also need to teach them stretch and bend. Okay. Now, would you like to... I'd like you to do me a favour, please. In your partners, one, look at me. The other one, look at the back of the room, please. Okay. Turn your chair around. Oh, good girl. Turn your chair around. Right, so one of you is looking at me and one of you is looking at the back of the room. Exactly. You ready now? Children looking at me, your job is to look at the picture I'm going to show you and to instruct your partner to be exactly like the photograph. Okay? Exactly. If your partner cheats, hit them. And I like the way you're laughing. And you're cheating, okay? Teachers, the ones looking at me, are you ready? Yes. are you practicing? Imperatives. Okay. Difficult? No. Open your mouth. Put your hands beside or next to your face. Look surprised. Right, this actually comes from the photo card on networking, but you might choose some of the other photographs. I just love the one in the middle. I'm sorry. Well, I think it's nice. Anna May didn't get a choice. I'm sorry. So there's your social networking. Are your kids into social networking? Can you? I've learned that. How do you say to Facebook in Polish? Facebook. No, the verb to Facebook. Facebookiem. Facebookiem. That's the one. Facebookować. So do you Facebookować? You're laughing. Is it yes or no? Italian children Facebook a lot, often in class. But don't you love being the teacher? Because they're all like this. And you go, what are you doing? Nothing. But internet, friendships created over the internet. These are things that we can talk about. Here is a card that with little children you might talk about using Facebook. With the older kids you might talk about the difficulty, the dangers of
Too much information.
Now, are we ready? Do you do debates in class? Yeah, I love debates. Not with your students, I mean your students' debate. Now, children, let me find the notes because Marie is still sitting there. What is beauty?
It's a profound question, isn't it?
Now, how you do this depends on your classes, depends on things. Now, I'm going to ask you to think of 5 positive things for doing this to yourself and 5 negative things for doing this to yourself. Okay, children? How many? 5 positive and 5 negative. Talk to your partner and I want 5 positive and 5 negative in 2 minutes. Go. Positive, go. 1. Positive, give me 1 positive.
We can hide any defects.
Come again?
Hide any defects.
Okay. Self-esteem?
Attract.
Oh, I love you. Nice one. Unfortunately.
And rich husbands.
No, absolutely perfect. 1 more.
Somebody earns money.
Now that was a very polite way of saying it. They earn money. Okay, 5 negatives.
Waste time.
Become
Waste
Waste
time.
time, waste money.
obsessed with your appearance.
Nice.
Sometimes your family cannot recognize you in the morning.
Very good. I hope my teenagers don't say that, but that's a nice idea. 1 more negative?
Not natural.
Okay, the nice thing is when you do something like this with the boys and the girls, they come up with such different ideas. Because the boys tend to forget what is their beauty. She says, looking at the 2 men in the room. Okay. You see my abs, can't you? Underneath all of this, I've got some abs. Because the boys tend to forget that. So when you ask them, why do girls do this? This is what I love. The boys come up with ideas and the girls go, no, not actually. But this is what it's all about. So I love doing that. So what is beauty? What is true beauty in your opinion? We have these fashion shows, Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss whatever. Do your kids take part in these things? Not participating maybe as contestants, but watching them on television. These are things that they are interested in. What's fashion, what's trendy, so they're often good. The thing about debating is I ask my kids to be positive, negative, and then they have to fight against each other in pairs, and then I ask them to change sides. Because the difference is, this is what you've been doing as well with the critical thinking, it's all very well to say, I think, but if you can't fight the other opinion, then you have difficulties. The thing about school uniforms, we have positives and negatives, and these are cards that lend themselves perfectly. Plastic surgery. Thank goodness now our Prime Minister in Italy has changed. Our ex-Prime Minister recommended plastic surgery to everyone. Everyone should do it. We call him Robot Boy. Absolutely perfect hair. And I don't know how his wife copes in the morning, but there you go. So there you go, something there. Discussion. Do you do discussions in class? This is what I have to say. The wonderful thing about our job is making the kids talk, regardless of what they are. Other subjects they don't as much, but we do. Children, do you recognise anyone? You're laughing because you do or you don't? Do you have little girls like this or even big girls like this? What do you do the weekend? Shopping. Now, there are 4 questions at the top. I would like one of you to be the teacher and one of you to be the student. And next time I'm going to ask you, would you like to look at your partner and go, do you like shopping? Good girl, thank you for that. Okay, try it. Try just these questions with your very exciting partner, please. One of you is the teacher, so one asks the questions, one of you answers. Shopping. As soon as you say shopping, all females. Yeah, we do. That's why I love window shopping. Because I'm a teacher. You know window shopping? It's cool, eh? I like window shopping. Difficult? Do you find the questions are easy to talk about? Yeah, that's what I think. Now we've got something else. Change over. The person who was the student is now the teacher. This is your card. You weren't expecting that, were you? You wanted something easy. You don't do it, you see. There are your questions. You don't teach boys. No, this is why I chose it, because girls love talking about shopping. Boys talk about shopping, but are less vocal about it. My 14-year-old, 15-year-old boys love telling me about their new t-shirts, because they come into class, I bet yours, mine come in and they're patting themselves. New t-shirt? Yeah. But I love that. Girls come in and do this because they've got new earrings. Okay, this is what we do, and as teachers you notice this. Girls are not so keen on talking about UFOs, okay, admittedly, but I have boys who are absolutely science fiction mad. The Star Trek films and everything. And this is, I think, a fascinating question. Imagine a hypothetical meeting between yourself and an alien. How would you communicate? Now, this was actually a question thrown out internationally. What was the answer?
Sign language.
This is what the answer came. The answer came back. If aliens were to arrive today, they would use, most likely, the telephone to communicate with us, because we spend so much time on the telephone. Now, I found that interesting as a science. This is across the world. This is what they came up with. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because they've probably not got a phone. They're more likely to send you a message, you know, meet me down the pub at 4, I don't know, something like that. But I thought that's actually quite interesting. The UK, of course, has this wonderful crop circles. So that's also something else, which is just from a simple photograph, off you've gone on some little tangent, which I think is grand. If you want something else, I'll just show you some of the other cards. I don't know if you can see this. I would do it, okay? Do your kids into piercing tattoos? I don't know. Depends on the age. My little boys like the piercing of the ears, but not like this. They have the hole, and the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh no, but as a teacher, that's the beauty of this little boy not being mine. So I'm able to say, oh, that looks interesting. I can actually now stick my finger through this. And you see, I think we're like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's actually got bigger and bigger. And of course, what we do as a teacher, what does your mother say about that? She hates it. And I think, yeah, I bet she does. But as an English teacher, oh, that's an interesting thing. Now, does anyone recognise this picture? That was a nice one, thank you. Vomiting in the corner. Cruelty to animals. Okay, this is what the picture is. If anyone wants to Google this, this is a true story. He was called Canary Dog. You want a horrible story? It has a nice ending. Okay, it has a nice ending. This is a beagle, and oddly enough, this is not the photograph. This came out at the same time and freaked me out. A little dog was found at one of the shelters, of course in America, I'm sorry, but there you go, in America, and it was shaped like this. And yeah, thank you for doing, that's exactly the effect. And then I saw this and I thought, oh, that's interesting, so I took this in, obviously not all little ones, and told them about this dog. Now the dog was found in this shape, and the vets couldn't figure out why. Why was he in this shape? He was, I say 6 months, but he may have been an 8-month-old puppy. After crying, I read the rest of the story. Basically, the vets were trying to figure out how on earth this dog had been formed into this shape, and then they clicked. The dog had been brought up in a canary cage, and had literally grown. Oh no, see, it's got a happy story. I wouldn't tell you otherwise. Otherwise, I'll cry. Grew up within the confines of the cage. When he got literally too big for the cage, they simply cut the cage out, took it to the local pound, and left it there, as people with lovely big hearts tend to do. The vets took the dog, and thanks to physiotherapy, good diet, the dog is absolutely perfect now. thank goodness he was still a puppy, so he was still able to be, yeah, which is, I mean, I'm sorry, I was just like, oh my God. But when I saw that, it for me was a beautiful link, beautiful, because I'd just seen the story and read it. The stories here are, have you got a pet? How long have you had it? What is it like to have a pet? Blah, blah, blah. Are there any animal associations that work to prevent the abandonment of animals? These are normal sorts of questions, but if you keep your eyes and ears open, you can find things and link them to that. Another one, how many of you got kids in wheelchairs? Yeah, no, I mean, I have in the past taught children in wheelchairs, and it's quite interesting because living in Italy, of course, a lot of the houses are built from Renaissance, medieval periods. Didn't really think about wheelchairs in those days. So wheelchair access is quite difficult. In fact, practically impossible in a lot of the older buildings because you can't. You can't do it. The schools now are obliged to, understandably, have the wheelchair ramps. But if you want something funny, which is true, it's called the jelly test. Do you know the jelly test? Not to do with little kids, although it is quite common with little kids as well. In the UK, to prove how difficult it is for people in wheelchairs, what they do is they put a woman who's not small in a wheelbarrow. A man picks her up and wheels her down the street, and in two hands, in each hand she has a bowl of jelly, a plate with jelly. And the more the jelly wobbles, the worse the street. And what they do is they film this woman in the wheelbarrow, and then they take it to the local council and they say, this is a woman who's actually able to walk, why don't you do something about it? And the council is obliged, therefore, to resurface the streets. Now, I think that's a wonderful idea. Not necessarily the woman with the big bosom, but I mean, the part of the jelly test, that's something you can do, you know, how easy is it from A to B? Do the jelly test, but that's something kids can do, isn't it? So, you're being silly, Tracey. Now,
Come on first. Now it's my turn, let me do my role.
okay.
I was learning all night long. This is Tracey. My name is Anna Maria. I'm Tracey. Tracey's teacher. Just for today. Okay, Tracey. I will show a picture. I want you to look at the picture and tell me what is there. You will be talking for 1 minute. Okay, ready? Start now, please. And you look at the picture.
In this picture, I can see a hamburger, a boy behind it. He is wearing glasses and has anti-gravity hair. He is wearing a blue t-shirt with long bits, and the hamburger looks really thank you. Interesting.
Okay, Tracey, I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Perfect preliminary exercise, isn't it? I think this is an absolutely gorgeous photograph. Absolutely lovely photograph. Now, if you, exactly, you're all going like this. All right. I would just like to point out, in this lovely city of Lublin, how many Polish restaurants have we found?
Oh.
Exactly. How many kebab restaurants have we found?
A lot.
How many pizzerias have we found? I can't believe I've come to Poland. I'm now going to go home to Italy and they're going to say, what did you eat? The alternative was this. Oh, God. But then we were talking about it. Do you actually eat? I can't believe I almost said that. What? Do you have Polish restaurants?
Yes.
Of course. Are they hiding?
Some Polish cuisine in the city. You can. I mean, it's possible.
That was a very discreet way of saying somewhere, don't ask me where. No, because I was very tempted to see the light in the window go knock on the door and say, excuse me, feed me. But here is something. But what questions would you ask your students with this picture? What would you ask them?
How is he feeling?
Okay.
What can we do to save this?
Oh boy. Yeah. Nice one, nice one.
Where are his parents?
Yes, they take a photograph. What you're doing is exactly what is on this card. Okay, the classic questions. How many times a week do you ask, do you eat fast food? Do your kids eat fast food? No, exactly. Sometimes, unfortunately. On what occasions?
No.
That's an occasion. No, because I actually asked my students this. We were doing fast food and I said, what fast food do we eat? We eat kebabs. And I, very stupidly thinking, how many kebabs do you eat? 3. And of course, what do you do? A week? A month? No, a I mean, admittedly, we are talking 16, 17-year-olds, but I just thought, oh my gosh, how do you eat 3 kebabs at one sitting? And you know, typical teenagers, that's all like, oh, yeah. And then I got have dinner. So yes, how often do your friends and school companions eat fast food? I then have to be careful now with that question. Do you know anyone who suffers from eating disorders? You have to be careful with that question because obviously the answer is yes, I do, or no, she does. You can't ask students, so do you have a drinking problem? But there you go.
Scary.
I know! Only once in my life have I actually said to a child, please stop taking the red pills before class because it's dulling you. And I was kind of hinting that he was taking drugs, and he said to me, they're blue. Now, exactly, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because I was kind of shocked by the answer, but I have to say, 14 years of age, he actually stopped taking so many of, or much, whatever he was taking, and the next few months was actually physically present and fairly mentally present. Kind of freaky. I'm sorry, I was not expecting that as an answer. Bad eating habits, eating complaints. How can we stop this child from eating this? I don't know the answer. Food intolerance or allergies. Do you have much of that in Poland?
Yes.
Like in the UK, there's big anti-nut, anti... You do?
Yes.
Okay, in Italy?
No.
No, not necessarily. But eating problems, vegetarians, vegans. Do you have any of those in your classes? No, it does happen. I love having a student who's vegan at the end of the lesson. As I said to them, I want you to introduce yourself and tell me something interesting. His comment was, I'm a vegan and anti-speciesist.
Anti-species.
Anti-speciesist. Now, I'm glad you're doing that, because every single other student always, what? And of course, typical kids, you know, they look at you, like you're supposed to define it, and I thought, the one who spoke, and I thought, no, you said it. I said, you said it, you have to explain what it is. I can't. I think you read it somewhere. We know what a vegan is, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So then had all the other students with, what do you eat? And then an anti-speciesist basically means I see all species as the same. There is no difference to me between an ant, a human being, or an elephant. I don't eat any of them, so he treats all of them with respect to a species, anti-speciesist. But I love that. So talking about eating problems, we went off onto anti-species. That was interesting. Now, as I said, the cards There are cards that are more suitable, I think, for primary, more suitable for adults, but it would again depend. I've done this with little ones and I've done this with the older ones. If you have a child in the class in a wheelchair, talk about the difficulties. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, do you know the any games?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. You're looking a bit confused there. This is taken from, as I've just shown you, the Busy Day Dominoes, but there is something very, very, very simple to do. Now, last time I asked you to do this, didn't I? Because I'm mean now. What I'd like you to do is to swap roles. So the one who did that now gets to take revenge. Choose one of these. Guide your partner using as few words as possible. Okay? So concentrate on not, can you please stand up and do that? Simply stand up. Okay? Or if you choose to be lazy, stand up. Not just looking at the word standard. Try it, but concentrate on few words. Okay? So the same as you did before with the body, but here I'm using one of the games. That's all. As if you're pouring something. You're not supposed to demonstrate. Stand up.
Stand up.
Okay. Some of you are absolutely wonderful at going, lean over.